Herzlich willkommen zu Living Free, dein Podcast für ein freies, authentisches und erfülltes Leben. Mein Name ist Tanja Hirsch und ich hoffe, dass du dich nach jeder Folge ein kleines bisschen freier und inspiriert fühlst, deiner Intuition zu folgen. Herzlich willkommen zurück im Living Free Podcast. Ich freue mich sehr, dass du heute wieder mit dabei bist und heute erwartet dich in diesem Podcast-Special im Juli, wo sich alles um das Thema The Magic of the Breath, also was der Atem alles bewirken kann und was da für eine Kraft und Magie dahinter steht, ein Interview mit Pablo. Ich durfte Pablo vor einiger Zeit in Bali kennenlernen, also gar nicht bei meinem letzten Trip, sondern schon davor, wo er ein Breath Camp gegeben hat. Das ist quasi eine Abschlussprüfung der Teilnehmer von all seinen Studenten, die das Teacher-Training bei ihm machen, von Alchemy of Breath, wo du ein Jahr lang begleitet wirst, online dieses Teacher-Training machst, und in Bali bei diesem Camp darf dann jeder Teilnehmer einen besonderen Circle geben, eine Breathwork-Session, die wirklich ganz, ganz magisch ist. Und damals bin ich jeden Tag mindestens einmal dorthin gegangen. Die haben das damals umsonst angeboten und du durftest einfach kommen. Und jeder Einzelne hat da so viel Herz und so viel von sich mit reingebracht, dass wirklich jede einzelne Session ganz besonders war. Und Pablo ist ein ganz, ganz inspirierender, toller Mensch, der sehr stark ist in seiner Persönlichkeit und auch so aussieht, aber innerlich ein ganz, ganz weiches Herz hat und sehr empathisch ist und unglaublich viel spürt und sensibel ist und diese Sensibilität auch nach außen trägt und auf ganz intensive Weise mit Menschen connected. Und ja, also ich habe mich sehr berührt gefühlt in diesem Interview und ich hoffe, dass du diese Verbindung spüren kannst über unser Gespräch und ihn auch als Inspiration sehen kannst für deinen eigenen Weg, egal ob du ein Mann bist oder eine Frau, wie schön es sein kann, wenn man mit einem offenen Herzen durchs Leben geht. Und seine Geschichte ist da wirklich eine ganz große Inspiration für alle, wie ich finde. Für mich war es auf jeden Fall ein unglaublich schönes Gespräch und ich hoffe, dass du viel für dich mitnehmen kannst. Lass mir gerne deine Gedanken da und freue dich jetzt einfach auf dieses Interview, bei dem wir über die Magie des Atems sprechen, was es mit dir machen kann. Pablo erklärt uns auch ganz genau, was es im Körper auswirkt auf einer chemischen Ebene, was in deinem Körper, in deinem Geist mit dir passiert durch diese Atemtechnik. Weil der Atem ist ja oft was wir beiläufig einfach so machen, und wenn wir aber unsere ganze Aufmerksamkeit auf den Atem schicken, ihn lenken und kontrollieren, haben wir ganz viel Möglichkeit, unser Leben zu verbessern, Dinge zu heilen, zu transformieren und auch unser Stresslevel zu senken. Er erzählt über seine persönliche Geschichte, wie er seiner Intuition gefolgt ist, und es ist wirklich ein ganz, ganz spannendes Interview. Wunder dich nicht, wir haben das Interview draußen aufgenommen, das heißt, es ist ein bisschen windig und ein bisschen Bali-Sound-mäßig. Es sind Tiere, die du hören wirst. Manchmal war der Wind ganz stark, aber ich wollte das Interview nicht abbrechen. Und lass dich davon nicht irritieren, sondern konzentriere dich einfach auf den wertvollen Inhalt dieses Gesprächs. Und ich wünsche dir jetzt ganz viel Freude dabei. So, welcome to the show, Pablo. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
The first question I would like to ask you before we dive into your story and the topic and the magic of the breath is, what does living free mean to you?
Living free, what a great question. I'm glad that I didn't have any, that I didn't consider it beforehand, and that it just gets to be something that's alive for me right here. So what does living free mean? I feel right now in this moment that it's about, true freedom I have found has come from exploring myself, being on the journey of coming inwards and revealing that only myself, like only I can do the work to make myself free, to feel peace, to feel happiness. And that's been the most powerful, I guess, wake-up call, because once upon a time I felt like I was not free. In fact, I felt like I was very challenged, disconnected. I was challenged to be here in the human realms, or like in this realm, and to find freedom that I feel here today. It's been through my journey of, I guess, pressure originally that has brought me inwards, and then the work inwards of breath work, of meditation, of exploring exploring myself, being shown by my life, by my experiences, by those around me, that inside truly matters. Like, that's where I feel living free means. If you have the moment of shift of, it's time to go inwards, only you can make a change, only you got this. I feel true freedom comes from that, from within.
I love that, and I think all of us have been looking for freedom on the outside. We think if we get this job, or we move to this place, or we do this, then we will feel free. But like you said, it's all about doing the work inside, and to shedding the layers, and to uncondition, and to really find the place that we truly are, to be authentic, free, and not only on the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And I came from trying to achieve it on the surface level. I love Miami, where I'm from, where I'm raised. It's become a dear place in my heart. But once upon a time, it was a challenge. It's a very physical place. A lot of beauty, a lot of achievement, a lot of show, flashy, like bam, and
totally.
and I struggled with it. I was so challenged with that, because something didn't feel right. I felt like an alien for so long, and I tried to do it through image. I tried to do it through acceptance. I tried to do it through success. I tried to do it through money, all of that stuff, and nothing hit home until I hit low, and the only thing that was left was to find out who I was, to go on this journey of what I'm meant to do in this world, or who I am, what do I enjoy, who is Pablo, and then I found Pablo, and then what if Pablo's not, right? And then the spiritual journey of what are we, what is our purpose here, what are we meant to be and do in this life. And it's been epic, and
wow.
It feels really good to share, because it's been a big journey to this place.
I love that so
and
much.
It continues.
And I can resonate so much. I have a whole podcast episode. What you describe as alien, for me, I always saw the picture of being a unicorn between horses. That I tried to fit in, and I thought, I have to hide my horn, my gold horn, and my colorful hair to be accepted by everyone. And
that's a beautiful image.
Yeah. And now I'm proud to be a unicorn, and I put back on the horn, and I'm sharing it, and encourage people to do the same, because I think we all get to this point where we just merge to our surroundings, and then we lose who we truly are. We lose our uniqueness, and to discover what is inside around all these roles that we are playing in our lives is so valuable and so important. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So you were born in Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit about your life story? In
What
a nutshell, how did
question,
Pablo end up in Bali?
In Bali, wow. All right, well, born in Miami. My family's Cuban, big family. We were always very family oriented. Cuban people are very family oriented, very much about the music, about the sensations, about the food, about the togetherness. And I remember that from my early days, how my aunts were always there, my grandparents were always involved, and I really appreciated that. I feel like I've always been a sensitive. I was always a sensitive, feeling others' energies and not really, I guess, being able to pick up others' emotions, and I think my mom very sensitive, my dad very work oriented and kind of like the provider of the house, and I always felt just a little bit more I grew up with three sisters. My two like actual sisters, one big, one small. But I have a stepsister. But there was always girls. My grandparents around, my grandma around, my mom, always girls. So I always felt very open, very more in touch with that, with that essence. A little bit more nurturing, a little bit more.
Soft and feminine.
Yeah, a little bit more feminine. I wonder if that's if that's gonna be understood. But yeah, feminine, right? Just that essence. So then the journey was very much about like I had to be taken to the job site to man up a little bit more, and and I hated that stuff because I was sensitive. Also a chubby boy. Growing up, I think being raised in the States and in Miami, fast food and all that, maybe I wasn't ever taught how to process my sensitivity, or how to find my place in the world. So I buried a lot with food, and it was my comfort, it was my place of connection. Food was. So I remember my early years being the most enjoyable because I was playing baseball a lot, and I just remembered like life. I felt connected to my life. It felt much more like an experience, like an adventure. But then something happened around early teens where I felt like overnight I went into my mind. Like I started thinking too much about where I stand, how I'm gonna fit in, what I look like, and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I felt, and this was like my downfall of feeling disconnected to my reality, to my world, to those around me. I lost my skill in baseball. I used to be so good, like natural, but I started thinking about it way too much, and I lost it. I lost the natural skill, and then I think I tried to achieve it through friends, through external things, and it just disconnected me more and more and more and more, and to the point where I was in my early 20s. I barely made it through high school. I got in trouble a few times, like arrested for doing some stupid stuff. Yeah. And and then that's part of my journey. I share it openly. I still it's important for me to acknowledge these things. They're a part of my past. I've always been one to work in cycles, and once I come to the end of a cycle, like I don't want anything to do with it. Like it wasn't even about me anymore. Like my middle school was a phase, and then now I'm done, and I'm no longer a part of that. So now I'm in high school, and I'm a new person, and then okay, I'm done with this, and then but our past is what shapes us. Our past is alive within our body, right? It's like a tree that has all of its scars and its growing pains and all of it, right? We're a big, beautiful tree. We're the whole thing, not just what we want to bring our awareness to. And by the time that I was early 20s, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't go to college. I tried to try to make a living, but not knowing what it is that I wanted. So I tried to go for the personal trainer because I thought that's what I wanted to do. And I tried to go. Maybe I thought about like the army at one point, like all these like ready available like man jobs that are there, or construction with my dad. And eventually I started working for a moving company, and I was working that for a little bit, making a little bit of change, but not satisfied. And then I left the relationship that I was in, and I went to the beach, South Beach, and I started working on the beach there. And I still carried this sense of not knowing who I am, feeling disconnected, feeling challenged, like down, depressed, because there was something missing in it all. And working in the beach taught me something. It taught me that I had a gift in connecting with people. I had a way of caring for what people wanted to share, what they wanted to, what they needed, to be of service of people, to listen to people. I also had a good mouth on me. I can, upsell some stuff. And it was a lot of fun, and it was cool to tap into that. But the damage inside of talking myself down, of body image of not knowing, just having a negative dialogue towards myself. It came with me, and even as I was tapping into this positive trait, I still went home at night, struggling about my image and my body, and not really feeling like I knew what it is, what it was all about. So then, of course, you try to mask it with drinking and relationship and food more, but it all just, it adds up and builds. Eventually, that job led me to meeting some pretty open people, because it's South Beach, right? So there's so many people from around the world, and I started to learn and experience different energies, different outlooks in people's life. Like, people from the beach were a little bit more laid back. European people brought their own kind of European vibe, and other people, and I was like, wow, there's something more here. And I started having conversations. I started telling people that I was feeling down, depressed, and people started telling me, okay, like, why don't you try this and that? And somebody told me to read the book The Power of Now. And that
Big
book,
one.
that book was just like, whoa! It so resonated. Eckhart Tolle's story so resonated. The way that he starts that book with expressing the dark abyss that he was experiencing in his apartment one evening, and that abyss leading to being like there's no point in living here. That resonated for me. Like, there's no point in being here. Like what, just struggle, just disconnect, like, just why, and it spoke to something inside of me that I was hooked. I was hooked. And I listened to the book on Audible like 3 times, and about midway through the second time, something clicked, and I experienced the first time ever a present moment. Like, I was looking at the pencil that I was writing with, and I was just like, wow, like, I've never seen that before. And my hands, and then my space around me, it was like seeing my room and my life for the first time ever. Like, before, I was just walking through a dream, and everything was just like a peripheral kind of blur, and then all of a sudden I stopped, and I was able to see and experience my space and the world around me. And that glimpse was like peeping through a doorway, and I just wanted to dive through that.
The closet of Narnia. You saw it as a whole universe waiting
I
for
wanted
you.
to dive through it, and I never stopped. From that moment on, I became Mr. Positive. I started telling people about the power of now and the present moment and energy, and that led to other books and a lot of self-help and self-love books, like The Power of Now, A New Earth. Don Miguel Ruiz has the 3 books, The Mastery of Love, The Voice of Knowledge, and The 4 Agreements. And The Mastery of Love was, I mean, such an important book in the healing of, like, remembering that I have a body, I have a temple, this body that I've chosen in this lifetime, and it's the only one that I have, and I need to love it up, and I need to be on its side, and I need to cheer it up. And I remember going to every freaking hair on my body and saying, hey, I love you, I am sorry, like, thank you so much. Like, there's a beautiful story that illustrates that in the Mastery of Love in the book, and I'll save that for another time so that we don't spend the whole time going through it.
I love it.
Yeah, very special. And then in that time, somebody told me about Hawaii, because I was talking to people and asking them about what has changed their lives, and somebody told me travel changed their life, and specifically this woman that I had a crush on once upon a time told me that she went to Hawaii. She went there for 2 weeks, and 2 months later, because it was like a vortex that swallowed her in and didn't let her go in the most positive and amazing way. And she had an incredible spiritual journey. She said that it was synchronistic, and one thing led to another. It was adventurous and fun and healing, and I was like, that's what I want. And it was few months that I saved up some money, and I brought a round trip 17 days trip to Hawaii, no plan, no direction. All I knew is that my soul was saying travel. I had no idea where I was going, what I was going to do. I experienced on that trip the first time I ever hitchhiked. I had no plan. I didn't know anybody in Hawaii. My friend knew one person, and he let me stay at his house the first night that I was there, and then he put me on the road on the way to work on the next day and said, that way, that way, go that way. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I remember I have a picture of my thumb, you know, of trying to get hitchhike and all the things that were flooding, like, dude, in my mind, what are you doing? Where are you? Like, who's going to pick up a stranger? Like, all this stuff. And I just kept on going with the waves of this is so cool. And, oh my God, what am I doing? And it was like that the whole rest of the journey. Like, I finally got picked up, dropped off at this little town. I grabbed some snacks of what I thought that I could need for the rest of my journey, because I was trying to get to Hana, which is a little town 2 hours in of a small little road called Hana Highway. And eventually I got picked up. I experienced my first waterfall. I got to Hana and I was starving and everything was closed. I didn't know where I was going to stay. And somebody pointed me in the direction of like a house stay, $50 a night. I fall on my bed and I'm crying because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Next day, I'm a little bit better and I'm like, okay, let me just go give it a try. I'm hungry. I walk by a tree, a mango falls down, and I have breakfast provided by nature. And I'm like, this is so cool. And then I talked to somebody and they were like, hey, you got to go check out this beach called Red Sand Beach. And it was the most beautiful beach that I've ever experienced in my life. And the rest of the journey continued of meeting somebody, something epic coming from it, and then some kind of low that followed it. And then the whole thing was just a cleansing. I experienced yoga for the first time, caves, waterfalls, and even cliff jumping, you know, the fear of that, but the excitement. Yeah, and Hawaii ended up being something that spoke so deeply to my heart that I went back to Miami. I sold everything, I got fired, and I went straight back.
Wow.
For 4 years on and off.
Wow.
And on that, I eventually met somebody who was going to come visit the islands because she was going to do some work there. And she came, she visited, we connected. She continued onward to Australia for some work stuff, and we stayed connected. And in that time of my journeys with Hawaii, I was really learning so much about aloha spirit and being in the body and being one with nature, because you wake up with the sun, you play in nature all day, you do what you need to do, you know, and that never goes away. That life has the component in it that we need to work, we need to provide for ourselves and our family and have a home. So, you know, that stuff was present, but I had enough saved where I could really let go and just allow myself to experience. The first year or so, I lived at a hostel, and I traded my working hours for accommodation, and I could just pay for my food. And eventually, so much was shifting and happening for me through my Hawaiian adventures that I understood that I needed to take it back. I needed to make it more real, like take it back to my home, and that it wasn't enough to just be in paradise and live simply. Like, there was a bigger purpose in this life. There was something more. I felt like Hawaii, one through some experience I can't remember, said, hey, your adventure continues. It's time for you to go out into the world. And I was trying to find out what that meant for years, like 3 years of trying to bridge what it meant. Is it to live a conscious life, and that means some kind of spiritual way, or is it to just live life and just be conscious? And like, how do I bridge those things? And eventually, this woman that I had met somebody who had tried this life-changing practice or work, breath work, and she shared it with my friend. My friend had an explosion of an experience and then said, I know who's supposed to be doing this. Like almost like she received it. Like I know who's supposed to be doing
Here's
this.
Your purpose.
Here's your purpose. Wow.
Oh my God.
And it came. They had a Zoom call with me that night. And then a week later, I was talking to Anthony Amagnano, the founder of Alchemy of Breath, and I was surfer bro, hair all over the place. Hey man, aloha. And here's this Englishman, older, has had a life, and he's just like, yes, hi, nice to meet you. And let's see where this is gonna go. And yeah, I met Anthony for the first time, and he must have seen something in me because he invited me to his next course online. And then shortly after that, to Bali for the first time, where I was able to partake for something that we call Breath Camp. It's a 10 days graduation for people who have been training with us for 8 months, and they offer a session to the public. So it was in Ubud, 50, 60 people showing up twice a day for these sessions and holding space for breath. First time ever being in group space, in breath space, in Ubud, in Bali, and just it was surreal. It was yeah, I get goosebumps from what it was to experience this group of individuals that were so heart-centered and open and willing to be honest and communicate, and then hold space for people because they've gone through it themselves, of tears, of difficult emotions, of trauma, of rage, of even joy and ecstasy, and just be in that energy. It was like seeing yes, this is it. And I told Anthony after that, I want to do this. And it didn't come easy. I was able to offer a session on the 10th day because I had connected so deeply with the group, and it scared the shit out of me to be in a group of 60 people, everybody looking at me to guide the session. And I had never done that before. And still to this day, it's something tender to be in a group of people and to come from the heart, if that's what's important to you, which it is for me, and to experience what can come up in that group space. And it's been like a coming home, a finding my dharma and purpose, and also equally challenging of different groups of people, and holding space and holding myself and being honest with what's coming up, the fears, the insecurities, all of that, but holding myself, and very special. So that's a little bit of my story. There's so much more in that, but it's how I found the breath, and I've been sharing the breath now for 4 years, teaching trainings and
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got goosebumps so many times and it resonated so much. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I think you're such a role model for our male generation, because we were taught that being sensitive and feeling so much is weak, and that's why men and also women, I experienced it myself. I grew up being very sensitive, and then I came to school and, society hit these layers that I experienced it's weak and it's not safe to feel so much, so I was hiding it, and I tried to hide it and not show it, and to be strong and to fight through my my boundaries, to get over it, to step over my boundaries, and to try to do everything on my own, and to fight until one point I also had this breakdown, and I realized, Jesus, this sensitivity is my superpower. It's not my weakness. Yes. I'm just in the wrong environment, and that's when I changed my whole life from being a school teacher to living free. I got the tattoo "Live Free" years ago because I knew it had to be there, and I always felt this longing to live free, and in some parts of my areas I was living free, but I was still holding myself back so much. And it's just about a year that I really embodied that, and I had the courage to go for it, because it's not the easy journey to be vulnerable and to share your heart and your feelings. And that's why I love so much that you, as a male role model, go for this and help other people, and especially men, to shed the layers and to show them it's strong to be vulnerable, and it's strong to feel so much. I mean, we are feeling creatures, right? Yeah. We're here to feel and to connect, but we shut it down. And that's why the power of the breath is so powerful, because it sheds these layers, and you get back to this connection to your sensitivity and to the deeper layers.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It resonates a lot, and whew, absolutely. The first breath work that I ever had was like, boom, straight into my body. Like, wow, I didn't know I can experience so much energy, so much life in my body, and it was just like, yeah, so much energy. It was so good and surprising and refreshing to find the body again. And you said it, like feeling as a human being. Anthony says sentient being. You know, ones that meant to be in a sensation through feeling. It is my superpower. Like it is a superpower. Like it's probably the strongest power that I have found to be in body, to be, and like you said, it's not easy, but to be in body, to feel like wow, this opportunity to speak to that. There's so many ways to go about it and so much to build on it, but it's like I remember the moment that my journey went from outward seeking, and I'm not talking about, and I'm talking about more like the spiritual journey. From, you know, I was doing plant medicines and astral projection and crystals and trying to meditate out into the space, but then I found breath work and it was coming into the body, and my portal into spirituality, into spirit, into the universe, into my truth, into my light, love, unconditional love, whatever spirituality means for you. Like, it's through my body. That portal's in my body, and it has been a journey of getting better at feeling, getting better at allowing all the spectrum of sensation, of experience, of what we can experience, the pain, the discomfort, the uncomfortable, the awkwardness, the grief, the loss, to the joy, to the ecstasy, the laughter, you know, like through the body, through the senses. It is, ooh, it makes me emotional. It hits something deep because it is, yeah, like arriving,
Home.
yeah, finding home, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think we are conditioned that only these, as we call it, positive emotions are welcome in our society. We can be happy, we can be joyful, we can be grateful. But when we feel anger and rage and, you know, loneliness and all these heavy emotions, we are taught to not feel them because they're not beautiful. And then we try to push it down, and through the breath we can allow these emotions to bubble up to the surface because they wanted to come up so many times, but what do we do when we feel these emotions? We numb ourselves with so many things, and we're not even aware of it sometimes.
We've just been taught it, right?
Exactly.
It's just been there, generations that have done it before. No one to blame. It's just, what do we have in this moment? What is our opportunity for change in ourselves, for evolution in ourselves and the world, is to notice what we've done, where we're at, and if something's not working anymore, then it's time to change. It's time to change. And through breath work, we can find our reset button, our okay, I've learned some kind of way before me, but now all of this is trying to express through me, and I can start to learn how to, in a safe and gentle, it doesn't have to be big and explosive. Safe is gentle, and gentle is what we're learning. It can be gradual process of learning how to feel and feel and feel and feel, whether it be starting with the pleasurable things first and then going towards the uncomfortable ones a little bit more and a little bit more. And there's a community building of people that want this, need this, that are longing for that connection. So they want to talk about what's coming up and have space to be able to express who they are and what's coming up and what's real and what hurts and what's exciting. And it's an exciting time.
The magic behind this sharing is that you see you're not alone, because sometimes we feel so alone with our emotions that we try to push down, that when we share from the heart, it always hits something inside of us, and we see everyone is struggling and we're not the only ones. And by sharing it, it's a feeling of belonging and seeing that it's just being human. And when we allow ourselves to be human, we also find the balance between the two. The things that we tried to push under the carpet, that we pretended they are not there. Sometimes they pile up, and through the breathwork or even through circumstances, they can come up. And when we allow them to be felt and not to push them away again, that's when the magic happens. Because when we allow ourselves to feel these heavier emotions, the range of the joy and the love gets bigger.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When we allow ourselves to feel we just call them bad emotions. They're just emotions,
they're
right?
Just emotions, exactly. That's how you find. That's what we find out, right? Through feeling them, it's opening up to life. It's getting better at feeling all of life. Not good or bad or this and that. It's just a spectrum that wants to be experienced.
Exactly.
But not everybody is ready or willing to expand that threshold of how much of life we can open up to.
Yeah. It makes us feel so alive.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Alive.
Yeah, if we don't feel our fear or our those emotions that are the pain and all that, we can't have joy.
Exactly.
It's like you stop one and you stop the other, right? It's
But in our mind we think if we just have the joy, then it's all about joy and love, but there's so much more to it.
Yeah, and we teach a component in our training that's about opening up to the whole spectrum by acknowledging that without one you can't have the other. And what we want to do is take the middle ground, the be the point that connects our two worlds. Let's say the light and the dark, and acknowledge that this journey, this side, the dark side, is just as important as the light. And of course, like part of my again, the language of light and dark, it's all important. It's all life. It's all beautiful. And we get to be in that middle point and acknowledge that, as far as I can reach, that's going to be how much life can course through me. And we do the work on both sides equal. Which is,
I loved it so much. Thank you for everything you shared so far.
Thank you very much.
So I would love to dive a little bit into the work you do. And I was honored to be part of your breathwork circle in Bali, which was a really, really amazing experience where your trainees had a final exam, it was kind of, right?
Right. Breath camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And this was so magical to see the result of your training, so I know it's really powerful. And can you share a little bit about the magic of the breath, what it can do for us, and how it changes this experience in life, in this body?
Yeah, sure thing. So you came to a breath camp, at Pandak Wayu.
Close to Ubud,
Yeah. Cool. Very beautiful space, open. Yeah.
Magical.
Yeah. I think we find ourselves in a very exciting time of breath really, really, really becoming worldwide, like known of this word breathwork expanding, and so many ask about what breathwork is, and a lot of times it can be seen as breathwork being like a therapeutic breath, like shamanic breathwork, or the breathwork that we do, conscious connected breathing, which stems from holotropic and rebirthing, and there's transformational breath, and so many that have expanded from these therapeutic ones. So a lot of times when somebody says breathwork, it would be more like, I'm calling it now a little bit more like therapeutic breathwork. But I find breathwork, if we look even into the first, the ancient text and times, the East was very, very much involved, or I guess where it stems from, because these practices of breath and how breath can help us achieve states of consciousness, but they can also help us on the physical realm to work with harsh climates, like the Tumo breath, or like we know it now, Wim Hof breath, of being able to be in extreme environments like the Himalayas in the cold, but still not be affected by it, because we can warm our body through our breath. And breath in meditation, how many Buddhist monks and societies that worked with their breath awareness, breath noticing, um, in China, for a long time, their well-being equals to not just like the medical side of it, but the holistic side, the body side. So a doctor would say, instead of like, here, take this, they would say, oh, maybe you should change your breathing, or maybe you should do some qigong, something that's going to bring your energy back into balance, right? So there's been so many cultures that have led the way of breath becoming what it is, and I share it in this way because I want to share that breath work means so much more, than just an experience that we might have. It's something that we can invite into our day-to-day, moment-to-moment. Even as you're here listening to me, you can be listening to your breath. You can be watching your breath. How is it? How shallow is it? Or is it deep? Is it in your belly or is it in your chest? Are you breathing through your mouth or your nose? That's a whole nother thing. So much coming out about breath being breathed through the mouth or nose, and how that can either support us or affect us in day-to-day life.
Can you dive a little bit into this? I'm curious.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the 3 hours conversation.
Yeah. So there's this awesome book called Breathe by James Nestor, and he has it's really shaking up a little bit of. So I do the conscious connected breath. It's a mouth breath, right? So and it's and the work that I do, people experience a whole range of possibilities. I don't think there's a cap to it, really. You can feel timelessness, connectedness, oneness. You can feel inner peace for the first time because it helps us shut down the beta part of our mind that's when we are in waking life of, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, and I need to run to the grocery. Oh yeah, that's right, I need to. When we're in that function, it's beta, right? We calm that down and we move into deeper realms like alpha, more connectedness and timeless and more in that flow by breathing repetitively and consistently. It influences our nervous system, our mind, our body, and one of the results is that we calm the mind and we can start to connect deeper, make connections within us that weren't possible as we are in our day-to-day and moment-to-moment, right? There was a reason why I was saying that. Because I wanted to speak to, we're mouth breathers. We work with conscious connected breath and we're mouth breathers. And then imagine you training for mouth breath. You've had an amazing experience or 2 or 3 or 4 of finding God or releasing trauma that has been stored inside of you for a long time, or feeling the aliveness of your body that you didn't know was possible by breathing in this way, and then somebody telling you that it's bad to breathe through the mouth, which is one of the things that is people are understanding through this book, is that it's bad to breathe through the mouth, because James Nestor in his book goes through this process of shutting his nose, covering it for 15 or like 20 days, and just breathing through the mouth. He went to work, he ate, he slept, he worked out, everything through the mouth, and the results were wild in his eyes. Like he was feeling like his pH level, his body was completely out of balance. He was fatigued, he was tired, low energy. I think he was snoring more. I don't know if he ever experienced like what kind of like illness or something like that, but I know it was like from just breathing through the mouth. Like what it does is that it's always it's almost like stress breathing on a constant basis, because through the mouth it's life is just coming in. It's how we would breathe imagine like if you were working out, right, and you're just like you need more energy, you need to have some more oxygen coming in so you can get through that workout. If we're doing that on day to day, when we're stressed, when we're anxious, when we're moving through things, then we're always in stress breathing, and the body has no time for rest and digest. And the nose comes in to regulate, to give us a little bit more control, a little bit more center, and also turn on our rest and digest when we're sleeping. But if we're always breathing through the mouth, like this study with James Nestor said, it throws our whole ecosystem within us off balance. And if you read that big book, you'll see what he actually learned from doing this 15-day just nose breath. And it surprised people. They're like, oh, we shouldn't be breathing through the mouth. We should just be breathing through the nose. Like I take my mouth at night. I do a little strip of tape right here down the middle so that I can breathe more through the nose. And it's worked wonders. I feel clearer when I wake up in the morning. I feel more rested and rejuvenated. And because I think before I was not ever snoring, but drooling and just breathing heavier and faster, not deeper and slower and more controlled. And a lot of the things that I'm seeing in the breath world that are really impacting our society nowadays is to slow the breath down and to find balance again with our breath. So the coherence breath is an amazing breath pattern that people are really benefiting from. It's 5 in, 5 out, and it brings balance to the nervous system. If you do 5 in, 5 out for 3 minutes, let's say, it will be about 6 to 7 breaths a minute. And that's, you would think that, okay, 6, 7 breaths, that's amazing. But the typical human breathes anywhere from 15 to 20 breaths a minute, to give you an idea. So imagine that kind of shift happening globally in our world. So 20 breaths a minute, that's a lot more. And each time that we breathe, we impact, we're triggering our nervous system, and the whole body's responding to each breath. So if we breathe faster, we're throwing, our CO2 oxygen levels, our nervous system is being influenced, and so much more. And if we slow that down, it has the same effect, right? So there's something to that. Once we find consciousness, reconnection to our breath, we can start to change our anatomy, our body, our being, by becoming more aware of, okay, do I want to continue to be in stress breathing, continue to be in this activated thing, or do I want to slow down, start promoting in my life more calm, connected, spacious, maybe even more rest and digest, because there's so much demand in day-to-day life now. Traffic, bills, all of it, right?
So true.
So if you take away something from this talk, the coherence breath done for a month can be life-changing already. 5 in, 5 out. Yeah.
I think this breath saved my life when I was a school teacher, and I felt, because I'm very noise sensitive, and when it was really noisy in the classroom, and I felt like I want to go away and just escape, I did this breathing technique, and it calmed me down, and I could feel my stress level was falling, and it's so powerful.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. So that's real-time experience. Yeah. When things get tough, those real moments that we all find ourselves in, the breath I find is the only thing that's there.
That's what we need the most, but it's not natural to us to use it, because when we just have to watch our breath when we're stressed. It's so shallow, and then, like you said, 5 breaths can change your complete state of being in this moment. Yeah,
the guy that created and who knows if there was anything before, but the guy that's really well known for being an advocate of behind the coherence breath is Gay Hendricks. He wrote Conscious Loving and so many great books that are out there that you can search, and he says that the coherence breath has been from all of the sessions that he's done, thousands of sessions that he's had with clients, the coherence breath is still one of the strongest and most impactful breaths, the 5 in, 5 out. He calls it the 10-second miracle. And if you do 3 10-second miracles, he says that's enough to shift someone's perspective. So much respect to Gay Hendricks, because he's doing some good work out there.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So because you're the expert in this month, you have no pressure.
Here I am.
Can you share a little bit with the audience what happens within the body on a cellular level, or what chemical reactions happen through this breath? Because I think it's, if you've never done it, this conversation can be hard to grasp, right?
Of course. And I'm also conscious of what I've spoken about already as far as like history, as far as like breath, the original question, which I don't even I don't even remember now, but about like where, you know, the work that I do, and I guess I was trying to get to breath work being something that's more than just therapeutic breath work, and now I can go into the work that I do, conscious,
Yes, please.
connected breath. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it's known that breath can be explored right now, you know, as you're listening to this. And I also work with the body, and through focusing on the felt sense, which felt sense is like our body sensations. So as we're breathing, let's say we slow down everything, and then what, we can bring our focus to our body. We can bring our focus to our breath, which is an easy, let's say easy, maybe it won't be easy for some, but with practicing it get better, but easy point of focus, the breath. And we can also start to bring our focus towards body sensations. Another positive, very positive, I have found in my experience, point of focus, something that the mind can focus on, that will be beneficial for us, because our body sensations, just like our breath, gives us a direct link or communication to what's happening within us, to what's happening, and I mean on all levels. Our own thoughts influence our body and our state, and then influence the way that we see the world, how we're experiencing the world around us. So externally, in this conversation, or when we're talking about another one, I have, my breath is a certain way, my body sensations are a certain way, and even when we're working, waiting in line, in traffic, all of it has a direct link to our breath and to our body sensation. So if you just remember, again and again, to come back to your breath, or to a point of focus like a body sensation, like your hand, or like your chest, or your belly or something, that's going to build a muscle of awareness, of like, how am I right now? If you can continue to promote that shift in awareness of how am I right now, how's my breath, how's my body sensations, we get to start to connect with the direct feedback of what we're experiencing moment to moment to moment, and then we become a co-creator of our life. Because we can be sitting in a restaurant, and let's say my breath starts to become quickened because someone said something, I start to get hot, I notice my temperature change inside of me, I'm becoming a little bit activated. Before, it would just be like something unfolding that I had no control over, and here I am, now I'm activated, and activated is going to lead me to saying, hey, I don't like you anymore, I'm out of here, and just responding. But no, if I have an awareness of my body, the changes inside of me, and my breath, then I can be like, okay, I feel some kind of way, I'm really getting heated right now, my heart's beating, my breath is shallower, and let me acknowledge that, take a few breaths, and see how I would respond from a different place, from a more calm place. Maybe I step away for a moment, maybe I choose to close my eyes and say, hey, just give me 1 second, and honor that, right? So this is something that's possible with breath awareness and our body awareness, that we can be with ourselves moment to moment and change our lives in that way. So therapy. So I might have to watch. Because I know that I'm speaking to the world here. Therapeutic breathwork. I don't want. I want to make sure that maybe there's something called therapeutic breathwork out there, and I don't want to just say something that's not accurate. I don't. I don't want to just misrepresent the breath that I do. So I'll just bring it back to the reason why I say therapeutic breathwork is because I feel like the journey of a conscious connected breath session, and if you can continue to do it, let's say weekly, monthly, some people even do it every day, like it is like a deep experience through a therapeutic practice. Like it's just as powerful as going to therapy sessions or doing some kind of ceremony or working with a medicine. Like it is it goes to the core. There's
sometimes even more powerful.
even more, yeah, exactly, right? It's like water. I have a good friend that does a water therapy called um, water flow. It comes from a little bit of like Watsu, and he talks about the water element being one that is deep, um, but it knows no, like it reaches to those depths, because no matter what is in its way, it goes around it. Like there's nothing that can hide from water. Water will get there, no matter what. So working within the water, and I find breath equally the same. It will chip away at a stone in a river, right? A river can slowly chip away at a rock, so until it becomes the river or dust or sand, right? Like, because it has so much to it. Um, so being willing to go into a breath session, or to working in the water, maybe we just talk about the breath. um, it's like, yeah, it's the real deal. It's gonna go to the depth, and it can be a transformational journey for whoever is willing to work with their breath. And I love that the question has come with what's happening in the system.
Because some people want to know
Yeah,
what's going on in
yeah.
the
I'm just
physical
beating
level.
around the bush here, everybody. I'm just playing with you, because it's a question that so many want to know, and I love it. I love it. I feel that. I feel everybody's like, just tell me.
I want to understand it with my mind.
Just tell me. I love it. And I'll speak to some things, but truly, and I don't just say this to get my own back here, because it's true. We are explorers in the realm of breath work right now. Like there's barely, like there's limited studies of what's actually happening inside of us when we're breathing. And even if the mind doesn't want to hear this, there's a component of miracle in it that can't be solved. There's a yeah, there is, and that's so special. And God, I love this question, and I love seeing my peers be, kind of go at it, because there is more and more information coming about the science of breath, which is awesome, and a lot of respects goes to Wim Hof, and there was somebody else that I wanted to mention, as far as, because I spoke to Breathe, James Nestor book. Another advocate of breathing less is Konstantin Butieko. He works with a lot of people with asthma. So if you want to work with asthma, he works with less breathing. In fact, a lot of breath holding, and getting better with having, like they say, breath hunger in the system, and it having a positive effect in the system. So I would put that there for anybody that wants to explore Butieko's work.
Yeah, we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, cool. Konstantin Butieko, yeah. One of his students has a great book, The Oxygen Advantage, as well. So there's so many that have paved the way for the science of breathing, what's happening, right? And some of the things that we share with our training right now is, when we're breathing a conscious connected breath, again, it's a breath through the mouth. We also can do it through the nose, because it stems from rebirthing. A lot of rebirthers do a conscious connected breath through the nose. And it's conscious because our awareness is on our breath. We're conscious of the fact that we're breathing. We're asked to stay connected to the breath. So you're conscious of, okay, I want to stay focused on my breath. And it's connected because there's no pause on the top or the bottom. So it's just doing your best to find that connection and support it. We use music. We go through an arc. We start off nice and gently in the beginning, and then we start to build. We come to a midway point where it's a little bit stronger, and then we shift into spaciousness, and we can really benefit from all the breath that we just breathed, but we continue that breath in just a different way, like a more spacious way. And breathing in this way can have so many effects, positive ones, spiritual ones, even physical and mental ones. So when we're breathing, the way I like to see it is an inhale, we can see it as sympathetic nervous system oriented. So if we talk about like the autonomic nervous system, um, the functions that are just come natural to us, so our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. Sympathetic is like the gas pedal, the burst of energy that we get in the morning to do, to go, to plan, to move through things. That's the sympathetic. It's the go go go, or more. Some people also know it as the fight or flight, right? So things happen when we're in fight or flight, where blood goes into our muscles, we're focused, we go into it. And then we have this other one, rest and digest, when we're feeling safe, we're laying on the couch, we're, it's been an awesome day, and we just feel spacious within us, and we're just resting, we're just hanging out. When we're in deep sleep, we're rest and digest. The heart rate is slow. We're more in digesting. The system is processing life and getting rid of anything that it doesn't need, any toxins and all that, and then repairing for the next day and all of that. These are natural functions within us, and we can throw these systems off by a lot of things, trauma and stresses of life and all that. And that maybe that's another conversation, because yeah
if we stay too long in
yeah
sympathetic,
exactly, because I could be in it. So I'm saying this because I like to see it as in like each inhale is more sympathetic, and each exhale is more parasympathetic, rest and digest. So when we're inhaling, it's more like an active inhale in our breath work, and then the exhale is a passive one. You just let it go. So, right? So we're that can already connect us with our nervous system, and the fact that when we're breathing in this way, we're triggering both of those. We're working with both of those. So in the beginning of our journey, we're connecting with our connected breaths. We're kind of clearing, we're moving our body, we're connecting with the breath, and then eventually we find a good rhythm and we start to build. And the music invites us to kind of build with the music. So let's say we're breathing a little bit faster. And what happens when we're breathing faster in let's say the build is that something called hypotransient frontality. Hypo Yeah, I think it's hypotransient frontality, and what it means is that we go into a temporary hypo. I actually have the definition. I can't believe I don't remember it right now, but essentially what it means is that we're putting in our prefrontal cortex into a state of rest. So again, the part of us that plans, does, thinks, organizes, we're putting that to rest because it's part of our prefrontal cortex, right? And it's more in our beta brainwave of like kind of relating with the world, needing to do all that stuff. So we're doing this. So we're putting to rest our thinking mind by choosing this breath and even working with the sympathetic. So once we work with the sympathetic, it's also releasing endorphins, like one of the first ones that come through. So to name a few, just so that I can get them out, like there's anandamines. So the first one is norepinephrine. So noradrenaline is one of the first ones that comes when we come into sympathetic activation, and that asks our body to become focused. Something's happening, and to narrow our focus and to pay attention to something is unfolding that we need to focus on. And this release of norepinephrine, and I'm probably saying it wrong, so it's aka noradrenaline, because I've said it wrong in class and somebody has corrected me, has also results in some other ones that come off. Like eventually in a breath journey, we can see oxytocin, serotonin, like feel good chemicals that are released, anandamines, and I know there's a couple others, but all of these neurotransmitters that are being released in our body also start to influence our brainwave states. So once that hypotransient frontality happens and it calms the mind, then we start to go into more alpha brain waves, and we start to feel more connected, more flow state, and that can lead to more feelings of yeah, connectedness, timelessness, peace, and we can really start to make different connections between our minds that wouldn't be there in waking. And I've said that already. So that's where people receive insights, or they receive messages, or they receive a connection to, oh my God, I've been avoiding this pain of unprocessed emotion in my chest, and due to a loss that I had, and why have I been avoiding that? And in that session, they can tap into it, because a different level of communication and interaction within us is happening due to how our nervous system is being influenced, the neurotransmitters that come online, and our brainwave states changing. And there's so much study out there of people are healing just through brainwave exploration, like being plugged into a machine and working with something like even binaural beats, two different frequencies making one vibration that communicates to the body to, let's say, rest more, to go into like an alpha state. And people are finding these connections just naturally, just by tones and vibrations, by these brain wave altering machines, which are super positive. And even deeper into delta, like, or theta, like kind of when we're in deep rest and digest, like REM states, into even gamma, which is more like the people experience God, and their connection to the universe and stuff. So all of this is possible to experience when we're in breath, because of, again, the neurotransmitters that are being released and how it influences our body. So I would say brain waves have a big part in it. Nervous system has a big part in it. And another thing that's happening, which people, it's such a conversation, is breath influencing our oxygen levels and our CO2 levels. And I guess that would have been a good place to start.
First comes last.
Yeah, because and I love this, because this is another one that has been, has been stirred up, I feel, with so originally I was taught that as we breathe, we oxygenate our bodies, our blood cells. We bring even more oxygen and more brain food to our brain, because as we breathe, we're oxygenating the system, and that's making, I guess, naturally, even again to the sympathetic nervous system, more blood to flow through the veins and through the arteries and up into the brain, and all of it. So we're oxygenating more, and we're dropping CO2 levels. And that's why you can feel tingling, you can feel vibration, you can feel aliveness, because we're oxygenating the system. From the book Breathe, there's a part where James Nestor talks about, actually it comes a point where our body, our lungs, everything that happens when we take an in-breath and an exhale, and you can get it on Basic Anatomy of the lungs, if you search it on YouTube, just what happens when we take an inhale, how it goes down the tubes, and then oxygen and CO2 is transferred and then back out. There comes a point that the body can't process all the oxygen that's in it, so it starts to expel it. And over time of breathing in let's say a faster way, this is primarily more in a faster rhythm of breath, where you're actually dropping your O2 levels and your CO2 levels, and yeah, I find that fascinating, of like, wow, so we're not oxygenating when we're breathing really fast, we're actually dropping both. And then that goes into how that even Wim Hof followers, how that influences the pH level in our system, in our blood, and also the alkalinity in our system, which there's benefits to all of these things, but in a conscious and safe environment. Always is where, if it's happening always due to unconscious kind of just stress, or not really knowing about what's happening in our body, then dis-ease over time can be something that comes from it. But consciously, these exchanges in O2 and CO2 can happen, and it's okay. It's okay. But because we're more of a deep belly breath, activated inhale, and then passive exhale, we're really encouraging people to be more in the realms of like oxygenating the system. Yeah, CO2 still goes down. So for example, if you were to hold your breath, you would feel like you can hold your breath for an endless amount of time, which I know you enjoy. Yeah, and then there comes a time where CO2 is also our gauge for, hey, I need to breathe again, you know? So it's a healthy alarm system which we're influencing, and this is where it comes into the realms of like, we need to know that we're in a safe environment when we're doing breath work. Like, don't do breath work in the water unless you're with people and stuff, and so on. So we really encourage people to have a deep belly breath and to feel that activation, that oxygenation, and that exchange that's happening, but to stay in the realms of being connected to your body, being connected to what's happening in each moment. Like, almost like if you were experiencing some kind of stressor in life, and the result was that you got through and you were like, wow, I really handled that very well. You know, I'm just trying to paint this picture to kind of to give an example of what I mean. Like, I handled that well. Like, things got tough there, but I was connected to myself. I breathed, I felt, and I came out the other side. Wow, that was good. As opposed to a stressor comes and we dissociate, or we don't remember something, or we're left harmed by it. Right? The breath, these experiences can happen. You know, I think that when we just go into something, just to go into it, or from like an ego kind of place of like, you got to do it, go inside there, you know, or yeah, or even maybe just like we don't know, and it was my case. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had a very strong, powerful physical experience in my first session, where right now I wouldn't say that was exactly what I need always. You know, there's always time for yang, but there's also time for yin, and we're seeing breath work really take a much more gentle approach, because we're learning. Like I said, we're explorers in the realm of breath work. In this time, as it becomes mainstream, we're learning through experience, through our own breathwork journeys, and through working with others of what happens. I'm not going to go into it, but like I said, you know, that even the study of I just kicked her. That's why I said sorry. So the study of like breath holding, right, after breathing a long time through, you know, in a charging way, and
so
yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get these blissful moments of expansion, and it's even hard to describe it with words, but it feels like my body's not even there, and the universe is inside of me, and I'm the universe, and I'm 2 kilometers big, and it's just space. I think
Wow.
space is the word.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
so powerful, and that's why I want everyone in this world to experience it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just to recap that, because I know I kind of went into a certain things. But yeah, when we're breathe, what's happening in our body again? Yeah, the nervous system plays a big part. The neurotransmitters that we're releasing, so the chemicals that are coming through, and then how our brain waves are influenced and affected by breath work in a positive way. Some people could even access kind of like visions, or more trying to speak to like when you have like a psychedelic experience, and you release a little bit of natural DMT, and you see visuals or vibrations, or you feel like the earth is vibrating at your wavelength, right? Like, we even release a little bit of that at, you know, in some points, and that can lead to some powerful experiences. Yeah, so I think that I think that there's definitely study out there, and like I said, alongside of the scientific side of things, which I still find like we're learning so much, there's an aspect of miracle in there.
It is.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
So much
Because
magic.
I can tell you that everything that I just told you, but it's not going to be like a step by step, like, oh, this is now when this is being
Yeah,
released,
yeah,
and now I'm feeling this way. Like there takes trust and
yeah.
openness and letting go of expectations, right? And
Allow the experience to
wow,
arise.
yeah, and exploring life in this way, or celebrating
Mm.
life in this way, and then anything can happen, and it's like, yeah, you come out the other side knowing that a higher force has touched you somehow.
I love this picture. That's why I call this month the magic of the breath, because
Yeah,
it's beyond words.
yeah.
You can try to understand it, and I think you really helped us understanding it on a physical level also, and what happens within our body. But it's, yeah, like you said, just allowing the magic to happen and to
Yeah,
see what arises.
yeah,
So thank you
absolutely.
so much. It helped me a lot. I learned a lot through this conversation.
Awesome. I just want to acknowledge, like, I'm curious how it's received, because, but I just want to acknowledge, like, it's a result of like 3 years being in the breath, like 4 years now, being in the breath realm, that I can sit here and speak to the science that I know, at least now, after all the countless hours of asking people, learning through our trainings, people being curious, and then going out there and receiving from different means. So yeah, it feels good to speak to the little piece that I feel like I can contribute, and I also acknowledge where it's still a learning curve for me. So I hope it's
Yeah, so valuable. I hope many people can hear this message, because it's so powerful and it really can change lives. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And before we close this conversation, there's one question I ask everyone,
Okay.
and you don't know what's coming, so I love it. Imagine you're being your younger self. It doesn't matter what age comes up. Yeah, we've been talking for a while.
Wow.
And is there something you would like to tell the little Pablo that you know now, but back then you didn't know? A message that would have helped you through your journey?
Wow. I would say that you're not alone.
Mm.
That's something's got your back, whether it's me or the universe or God. That trust that we're here with you always, and yeah, know that you're loved and supported.
I loved
Yeah.
it. Oh, that's so beautiful. So, how can people connect to you?
Yeah, so I'm happily to share an email. I've my journey, of coming here, being here where I am, sharing the breath in the capacity that I am. I owe it a lot to Alchemy of Breath. So a lot of my work is tied to Alchemy of Breath right now. So I would say I'll give you the link to Alchemy of Breath's website, and I have free sessions. We have free sessions every Sunday. Every other Friday, we do a meditation. So we do breathwork on Sundays, meditation every other Friday. I also have a breathwork session on Wednesday mornings for those that are here in Asia, or I guess evening. I don't know. I don't think it works for those in Europe, but that one. But we do have all the other ones. They work for those in Europe.
I think it would even be worth it to stay up at night to try this,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's such a nice opportunity.
So it's totally, and yeah, the cool thing is that everything we do there will be its worldwide outreach, right? So we'll always have a time frame that works for any time of the day, even US. So I'll give you those links.
I will link everything in the show notes.
And I just set up my one-to-one offerings and availability too. So if anybody wanted to have a chat about breath, or get to know a little bit more about me, or share with me where you are, and see if breath is going to help you in some ways, I can also share my schedule, and you can book me for even an hour and a half session if you want, 2 hour session, and we can do some breath together.
And you also have the teacher trainings, right?
I do. Thank you very much for the reminder. Yeah, and then Alchemy of Breath and myself and a few other trainers, we're a community and a team. We do an 8-month teacher training for training facilitators to facilitate a conscious, connected breath, but it's very much a journey, an inner journey. We acknowledge and work on the basis of that our inner journey is that which connects us to the world around us. So we work by virtue of doing our own work, and what we've lived in our lives connects us to those that are in a similar place that need that are seeking support, and we have the tools because we've been there, you know. So we very much, it's as much as an inner journey as it is about facilitation skills, or maybe even heavier on the inner journey side, because it starts with you, exactly where you are, what you're seeking, regardless of your level of experience. I started from zero experience of facilitation, and I'm immersed in it now, and it's a beautiful journey, and it connects you to an incredible community of breath workers and just human beings living a life experience that are knowing that something else is possible, and seeking for calling something, feeling a call to something deeper, or calling themselves something deeper to come through. So if you feel the call, we always say you probably are. Look, I'll share the Alchemy of Breath website, and we start in June is our next intake. We do AM European sessions and also PM ones available, and then after that, September is our next one. And we always do it every 3 months. We have an intake opportunity. You could book a call with one of the team members to ask about more of what it is. It's a deep dive, 8 months, breath every week, meditation every week, and
I've seen the outcomes, so it's really spectacular what this journey offers. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sharing all this valuable knowledge and for sharing your magic to the world, because there's so many people that hide their gifts, and you've really stepped into your Dharma and you're sharing your purpose. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you everybody for listening.
Ich hoffe, du bist genauso berührt wie ich von diesem Gespräch und du konntest ganz viel für dich mitnehmen, und Pablo konnte diese Tür für dich öffnen, was die Magie des Atems alles bewirken kann, und du fühlst dich inspiriert, das mal auszuprobieren. Wie gesagt, wenn du in München wohnst, gebe ich da eine Guided Session mit dem Philipp zusammen. Der Philipp macht das Breathwork, ich mache eine Intuitive Flow Stunde, und die Kombination ist wirklich ganz, ganz kraftvoll und kann tiefe Sachen, die dir jetzt noch gar nicht bewusst sind, an die Oberfläche bringen und dich freier fühlen lassen, was ja eigentlich die Intention hinter meinem Podcast ist, dass du alles ablegst, was dich in irgendeiner Art und Weise zurück oder klein hält. Wie immer freue ich mich, wenn du mir deine Gedanken dalässt, was dieses Interview mit dir gemacht hat, ob es dich in irgendeiner Weise berührt hat, und dann sehen wir uns nächste Woche wieder. Bis dahin, alles Liebe, deine Tanja.